Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another edition of Distracted Driving. On tonight's show, time circuits on, flux capacitor fluxing. It's a salute to the 80s, featuring the best of 80s music, movies, television, and pop culture. Plus, Jay from Behind and viewer mail. And now, ladies and gentlemen, the hosts of Distracted Driving, Ray Auger, Jay Pillarella, and Tim Rice.
What is happening, everybody?
That's a fantastic intro, by the way.
It's too bad we don't have a professional voice to introduce us.
I know, right?
I know.
That was spoiled. The best part of the show is the intro, in my opinion.
You had to pay a lot for that.
That's Gary Newman, right?
That is Gary Newman. That was Tim's idea.
That was the inspiration for this whole show. I was driving to work on whatever day what was it, Thursday I said we should do this? I was driving to work listening to, let's just say, a radio station. And they played that song. And I'm like, that was such a cool intro song. Then we should just it kind of grew into...
And then you destroyed my entire weekend, Tim.
Yeah, well, Jay, I'm with you. I mean, it has been a very stressful... I made a horrible list. I've made horrible errors and choices.
This entire episode times 2 is going to be all about the 80s. Now, we all grew up in the 80s, we all loved the 80s, but son of a bitch, when you ever try and come down to what's your favorite this, what's your favorite that, screw you, I don't want to actually have to say any of that, because there's too freaking many.
To start off, we were going to do movies. That was the basis. Of course, we're talking about movies and music and
You know
TV.
what, screw this, I'm going to do my rant from behind right now.
Right now? Okay,
all right.
hold on, I'm
Jay
setting
from
the timer.
Behind, all right?
And go.
Here's the deal, all right? There's too many things. There is Saturday morning cartoons. I could do a whole segment. I could do 2 weeks on that. You could have TV shows that are at night that teach you a lesson. Every lesson. A whole freaking bunch of lessons. All right? You could have movies. Obviously, the movies. You could have the music. Now, I'm not just talking about any music. You've got hair bands. You've got pop. You've got synth. You've got the beginning of rap. I mean, everything is actually happening in this decade. It's the decade of decadence, and I hated having to actually bring this down to 2 episodes. It should be like a 10-part retrospective. That's what I said.
We're gonna let you
Radioactive.
Yes.
The Firm.
Let him go.
80s.
All right.
It's still another minute, right?
Oh, do I still actually
you
have
got 1
minute?
minute.
Okay, here's... I actually got so upset with all my lists, all right, and I'm rambling, I understand that, but I got so upset because Tim started saying, well, this was actually 89, this was 81, this was so-and-so. Do we actually count those? I'm like, how do you not count these as 80s? They're actually in the 80s. Yeah, but I don't really count those so much. I'm like, screw you! These are 80s, they're making my list. I'm done.
Okay. You have time to spare, which will not carry over to the next show, just to let you know.
Oh, no, I got a whole nother rant.
Okay. Oh, good. All right. Well, you saved 30 seconds for another point.
And let's be clear, I was just trying to figure out how to come up with my list. That's why I was cutting off the edges. That's all.
I hated making that list.
See, now this
But
is...
I loved making that list.
I was going to say, this is supposed to be a fun experience.
No, conflict is good TV or whatever we're doing here.
I thought for me, the 80s were a happy time. Not that
they were a very happy time.
But we shouldn't look back in anger.
No.
Ooh, Oasis.
That's the 90s.
Yeah.
That's a different show.
To let you know, Tim brought this up, and then Ray said, hey, think up your top 30 movies. At first, Tim's like, 30? Jesus. And then I'm like, 30? Whoa, wait a minute, that's way too little.
My idea was to all come up with our top 30 and then make a distracted driving top 10 list, which I knew was going to be impossible with only 30 each. So we're going to go over our top 10 separately tonight, possibly come up with a top 10 distracted driving list of movies, our favorite movies from the 80s.
I hate my top 10.
I don't know if it's going to happen. Well, that's your problem.
I know it's my problem.
Why did you write those?
I love my top 10.
Because I had to get it done.
But the best thing in the world...
You had 3 days. I never said
I did not have 3 days.
I didn't.
I
just said, give me your 30.
Yesterday morning, I posted, I said I want a new list, and you wrote, haha, list is done.
Well, it is. It's done.
No, so I didn't have 3 days.
You need to go with your gut instinct. That's what I did.
My gut instinct sucked.
You should have given us a time limit.
I didn't have
because
time.
We had too much time to actually revisit it, and I revisited it.
I thought about it. And then I tell my wife my list, and she goes, well, of course, Legend of Billie Jean's on your list. Oh, my God! Legend of Billie Jean!
I didn't
Forgot
make my
about
list.
That. Yeah, it's not on my list.
There's going to be a lot that didn't make my list that I'm going to have actually have a whole nother episode to myself in my room to talk to you people about.
One of my all-time favorite movies ever is not on my list because I just completely had a brain spasm and forgot. It'd be number 3.
Go ahead, keep talking. I'm just doing plugs.
Yeah, plugs. If you want to join our
we had a whole bunch of new followers on Twitter recently.
Really?
Good.
And a lot of new people on YouTube.
Facebook.
And Facebook as well.
welcome to all the new viewers.
Okay. Well, that's that. You know how to find us on every other venue, but that is, for some reason, I think Twitter's the hardest thing to search on.
We're being passed.
Anyway.
Whoa!
Wow!
First time being passed.
Cool. I don't think
let me tell you,
I'm doing
You're
50.
speeding, actually.
He's actually doing the regular speed. Now he's faster.
All right.
Yeah, it's fast.
So, yeah, the deal was... And
He just hit 88 miles an hour and disappeared.
Where'd he go?
Marty! Doc!
We are going to get to the movies soon. But there's so much more to talk about, as Jay said. And I think we're going to have to just limit ourselves to happiness and no arguing about what we're going to talk about.
Let's talk about one thing right off the bat.
Let's take a deep breath first.
We wanted a guest. We did want a guest, but it was very short notice.
I tried contacting a few people.
And who did you try contacting?
Yes! And she never got back to me. She actually saw my message.
I don't know what we're looking at.
I don't even know her name. It's just one of the guys, one of the best
Her
movies.
name is it Joyce?
Joyce.
Yes.
She's very nice.
She's been around all the 80s movies. She actually worked well into the 90s. I have not seen her since, but she was always cool. Now,
Sorry.
What?
The guy that passed us is now behind the slowest car on the planet. It makes me happy.
Now, if any of you have seen this, or if you can see this, if not, it's probably up on the screen right now. But just one of the guys, one of the best movies she's ever done, and she
Could
actually
be one of the only ones she's really ever done that didn't.
No, I've seen her in other stuff.
Yeah, but not like this.
No,
movie.
that's her.
That's her Citizen Kane.
Yes, that's her Citizen Kane.
And you know, the best line of the movie is don't worry, he's got tits. So
I love Billy Jacoby, by the way. Jacoby, I don't know. He was the little brother, and he was a staple of the 80s.
Yeah, he went on
everything.
He went on to do Parker Lewis Can't Lose.
That's
is
right.
One of his best friends. One of my favorite TV shows. I don't know if you guys saw this, but basically it was Parker Lewis was Ferris Bueller.
Yeah.
But Ferris Bueller's TV show that failed miserably. Right. And what happened?
Jennifer Aniston. I believe was in that.
Yep.
Yes, but they said, you know what? We actually want to do this exact same scenario. So they made up Parker Lewis Can't Lose, and it was perfect. You might remember Kubiak from ER. He was actually the big bully in the show.
Okay.
Who later on
the big guy.
Yeah. But Parker Lewis, I forget who he was. I forget his name.
Yeah, blonde kid.
It was just one of those things.
I
Again,
can picture him. Yep.
Prep work. But I know he went on to actually be in Stephen King's The Stand as a very creepy guy in that series. Not to get too far off topic, Parker Lewis Can't Lose. Haven't seen it. Go check it out.
Billy Jacoby is now known as like Billy Jade or something. Like he changed his name.
Does he do anything now?
He directs, I think, like really bad, low budget things.
That's all right.
Let's go back to we contacted somebody for guests. We didn't finish that story.
Well, I contacted Joyce and I sent her a message, told her what we were doing. She saw it. I saw that she saw it. I stalked her a little bit on Facebook and checked out her pictures, and she actually friended me. She took the time to friend me, and she had a one of those blocks where you can't see anything unless you're friended. So I thought that was a good sign.
Great sign.
Awesome.
And then she never got back to me. Maybe, perhaps in the future she will.
But it's all right because
call in?
I'll be completely honest. If she had actually come on and she was sitting in this backseat right now, I would just be swarming her with questions about Billy Zabka, and that's all I would be talking about. How was Billy?
But Billy was the bad guy in that movie.
All right,
that's right.
Billy Zabka. All right. So right
Cheryl
now,
Fenn was in that.
What I wanted for this backseat was Billy Zabka. So we're gonna do a little Cobra Kai right here. Hopefully you can see this as well. This is where Billy would be sitting right now. He's enjoying some time right now on How I Met Your Mother. He's actually a regular on How I Met Your Mother, where he's actually part of Ted's bachelor party.
Oh, okay. He was in Hot Tub Time Machine, which is a great throwback to the 80s movie.
He's brilliant on How You Met Your Mother.
I haven't seen him on that. I haven't seen the season yet.
Hilarious.
The season's horrible. He's the best part of it.
But everybody
season's
loves
fantastic.
No,
Tim hates it, but he's freaking a riot because he has like maybe 10 lines the entire season so far, but they're all great lines.
And he's playing himself.
Oh yeah.
Which makes it even better.
Billy Zabka, for people who don't know, is the guy from Cobra Kai, from Karate Kid.
Karate Kid.
Another
he
huge
is
staple
the
of
bad
80s.
guy.
Not on my list.
And then he was a bad guy in maybe 2 or 3 more, like just one of the guys.
He was a bad guy and just one of the guys. Again, a fantastic bad guy that he was born to play this part. Then he was also the bad guy in Back to School.
That's right.
That's right, yeah.
You had Rodney Dangerfield's kid. He went to school. He ended up joining them. And who was the big bully on the swim team?
Really?
But Billy Zabka. And again, one of the best bad guys out there, man. I just want him to do nothing but play an asshole, because he plays a great asshole, and he's actually a great just actor in general.
Do you think he was happy with doing that? He was working, he was getting paid, but do you think at one point he's thinking, I want to do Shakespeare, I want to do something with some meat on the bones?
Well, maybe if
why
he
am
was
I a bad guy
backseat
every
with
time
us?
I play?
If he was backseat with us right now, we could ask him.
I would ask him
These
that.
would be great questions from him.
Yeah.
Because he did play the same. It was the same guy.
Yes.
For those 3 movies you mentioned.
You ever seen the YouTube clip of Biff singing the song about being Biff?
I did.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what
Hilarious.
I picture. I mean, it's hysterical. Like, he goes through the whole.
Now I never saw Biff as a bad guy. After that, he did April Fool's.
He's stuck as
April
Biff.
Fool's Day. Yeah, he was
Yeah.
Biff.
I would
but he
always
was in a few other
know
things.
him as Biff.
I see it now. Did you see April Fool's? Not on my list, but a great '80s flick.
Loved it.
Yeah, great
Loved
movie.
it. He was in
He
April
was in
Fool's?
that. He was in that.
No, wait, April Fool's Day, the one with the whole scam at the end? Okay.
Oh, you're supposed to say spoiler alert.
Spoiler
I don't
alert.
think you have to say that after 30 years.
You don't?
No.
Okay. Is that how long the '80s have been? Is that like
Well, the
30
'80s
years
weren't
ago?
30 years, but they're 30 years ago.
Not for nothing, we're kind of
Oh
old.
my Do you have an idol from the '80s?
Do I have
that
an idol from
you
the
can think
80s?
of?
I'm with Jay,
I wasn't
though. I mean,
prepared for this.
Listen,
Billy
here's-
was your
I'm
idol?
not, no, he's not. I could see why he would be. I know this history of Jay and how he's
Okay.
obsessed with this guy.
Now, a couple years back, I actually dressed up as Billy Zabka, as Cobra Kai.
Yeah.
And the only reason why I lost, except for the hot girls in really skimpy outfits, was because my buddy Tommy was Justin Timberlake with Dick in the Box.
Yeah.
How do you go against that? But if anyone was going to win, it was going to be me, Billy Zabka.
Yes.
Do I have
Did you have to tell everybody who you were?
No,
all
I
night?
came out. I was the DJ that night, so I made sure to come out during. You're the best around.
That's a good song.
Nothing's ever gonna get you down.
Another good hit song from the '80s.
All right, we gotta move on from Billy.
Soundtrack movies from the '80s. Soundtrack movies with soundtracks from the '80s.
Every single one.
You just talked about one.
Yeah.
The best around. You hear that, you know it's the '80s.
Mm.
How about this one? Yeah, I just have to make this.
Oh, over the
excellent.
top.
Over the top.
Over the top.
Not on my list. Damn
What
it,
was
that
the
should be
song?
on
Yeah,
my
but
list.
we're talking about songs from movies.
That was Jesus. That wasn't one of the
Kenny
ones I
Loggins.
remember.
No, it was Sammy Hagar.
He did Kenny Loggins sang every song in the 80s.
Most of
He
them.
did. He did Caddyshack, which we figured out was in the '80s. It was '80.
Yeah.
Sammy Hagar. What's Sammy Hagar's song?
Oh my God! Now it's slipping my mind.
I was listening to Sammy today.
Sammy Hagar did Spaceballs. He did.
Sammy Hagar did Spaceballs.
No, I'm thinking
No.
Bon Jovi. Never mind.
Bon Jovi
Jovi?
did Spaceballs.
Yes.
No, the song was in it. One of
Yeah,
Bon
yeah.
Jovi, but he didn't write a song
No.
for the.
No.
Anyway, we'll look that up
what
later.
the hell was that?
Prep work.
song?
This is,
Always do your prep.
this is
work.
what happens when it's 30 years ago.
Oh, winner takes it all, loser takes the fall.
Yeah.
Great
Yeah.
song. Great song.
But
But if you want to ask me what the best is, it's hands down from Rocky 4.
Yes. I'll be with you. The whole soundtrack.
Survivor.
No, the whole soundtrack.
No. Survivor was that's from
That's
from
Rocky. That's before.
They did one for
Yeah.
4.
They did, yes.
Yeah.
But that's
Okay.
not the best song on the soundtrack.
Oh, okay. Well, what is the best song in the?
I don't know. Just the whole soundtrack is incredible.
No, the
So you would
soundtrack-
agree that Survivor was part of that whole soundtrack?
Survivor's not
Therefore-
on Rocky 4.
They were. They did a song for. They did "Eye of the Tiger,"
Yes,
and then
they
they
are.
did the
You're
big,
correct. I
the
say
big
for-
radio song for Rocky 4.
But they weren't the big hit from the soundtrack, and I can't remember what. James Brown was on that soundtrack.
Yep.
It's when Rocky's
Coming to
driving.
America. That was
Coming to America.
the big one.
Rocky's actually driving.
Living in America. I'm sorry. Coming to America.
Coming
Another
to America is a great
80s
movie, not on my
He's
list.
looking
That's
on
great.
my list. The bitch.
I'd have to go with like John Hughes and all of his soundtracks. Breakfast Club.
Of course.
16 Candles.
Yeah, I mean he busted open a lot of bands from the 80s.
I
Totally.
liked all the girly movies from the 80s. So.
I dug them. Weird Science, Breakfast Club, even all those Molly Ringwald movies, Sweet 16.
They were all good
No,
movies,
great.
though.
Pretty
They
in
were-
Pink.
Yeah.
Because you got Ducky. I mean, who doesn't like Ducky?
I love Ducky.
We're not supposed to be talking about movies yet, though, are we?
No, we're not.
No.
I'm sorry.
Then
Everybody brought something tonight. Let's share.
I brought a lot of stuff.
We're doing show and tell tonight. How
Jay got in the
exciting
car
is
with
that?
a bag.
I have a whole bag full of stuff. Well, again,
We got Billy sitting in the back.
Billy's right here.
I'm going to start. I couldn't find my Michael Knight,
Oh,
Yeah, I
Michael
know.
Knight, yeah.
and I'm very upset. I tore the house apart looking for Michael
So
Knight.
while you're looking, you want to hear my 30-second story on Michael Knight?
Let's hear it.
Michael Knight got me grounded for like 3 weeks.
Tell me about
My
it.
brother and I was probably middle of February. You know how we're having the really cold weather right now? We had the same thing back then in the late 80s, whatever it was. My brother and I lived in a split-level house. Our bedroom's on the second floor. I don't know why. We used to fight a lot. He took Michael Knight and he whipped it at my head.
Ooh.
Michael Knight's a big,
I know,
solid
it is.
action
I
figure.
remember.
So what would you do?
You'd
Whip it back?
You'd throw a...
No, you duck.
You don't throw a G.I. Joe because they were a lot smaller.
No, you duck.
Okay.
And Michael Knight goes through the window.
Was that rhetorical?
Through the second story window above the garage that you need a 30-foot ladder to get to.
Was he a pitcher? Because that's some good freaking...
No, this figure
This
is
figure,
solid.
it's not hollow.
I don't know
This-
why. And most of it is his hair. Really.
Yeah, he's got a giant head.
Yeah.
So anyway, I ducked. He went through the window. My father comes home. He's not very pleased with this. You know what our punishment was first? We got grounded for a very long time. The biggest part of the punishment was he made us stand out in the cold and just watch him replace the window. And so I texted my brother the other day, saying, hey, do you remember the Michael Knight story? That's all I said. Do you remember the Michael Knight story from the late 80s? He goes, yeah, when Dad made us stand in the driveway and freeze our ass off.
Hypothermia.
That was our punishment. I just remember my mother let them come in. It's cold outside. No, they broke the window. They have to watch me fix it. And there's my poor dad up on the second floor trying to replace a window in the middle of the
How
winter.
do you feel now?
Oh, I feel bad. Yeah. I'm warm though. I got heat.
Did you bring toys too?
I did not bring any toys.
Oh, I know you brought some toys.
I brought some toys.
How about this guy?
Rambo.
Anybody remember him from the 80s?
Not on my list.
No, it's not. It's not on my
Rambo
list either.
was on my list, but had to shave
Fell
it
off.
off.
Yeah.
This guy was huge in the 80s.
Put
not
him back
Rambo,
a little bit further. Give the props to Jake, 'cause I think the light will help us.
But Sylvester Stallone in general, with all of his action movies.
Now, was this actually from the cartoon Rambo? Because Rambo had his own cartoon for
you know
a while.
that's a good question, Jay. I don't know. What's
I
to say on his
believe
foot?
that they actually made the figures after the cartoon.
Okay.
Because that would make most sense. Because why are they making action figures for the rated R movie for the kids to buy?
Well, look at his weaponry though. He's got knives. He's
Back
got a gun.
in the 80s, kids could
That's
have all the
true, that's
weapons
true.
they wanted to. There was no little red nub on the end of a gun.
And adults were not buying action figures.
Who remembers starting lineups?
Oh yeah. What did you have? I didn't see. What
That's
you did.
Larry
Larry
Bird.
Oh yeah, I photographed that one.
I didn't have a. That's right, you did. I don't have a lot of them, but I do have some cool ones. I got Joe Montana. I got John Elway. But those were
that would
awesome.
be my hero from the 80s.
Elway.
Larry Bird.
Larry Bird.
Elway.
I don't know.
Larry
That
Bird.
was the last name I said.
I grew up wanting to be Larry Bird.
Okay. Now I know you brought some toys. I'll touch the toys. I'll handle the toys. These are Tim's toys that he brought to share with us during 80s show and tell. I love this guy.
Hey,
What are you
Gizmo.
doing with my toys back
Nothing,
there?
I'm just-
Larry Bird better not be touching Rambo in any inappropriate way.
Do you know where I got Gizmo?
Where'd you get Gizmo?
Where'd I get Gizmo, Jay?
I believe that Tim Rice got Gizmo at Rubber Chicken Comics.
Oh, okay.
Located in Bellingham, Mass.
So that isn't an original.
Oh, it's totally
Oh no, it
original.
is an original.
Oh,
It was
yeah.
used when I bought it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. 'Cause
We,
I know
we
that.
sell old vintage 80s toys at Rubber Chicken Comics.
Well, you also sell the new and improved
They
Star
do. This
Wars
was not
toys
new and
as
improved.
well.
True.
This was vintage.
Now, the rules. What are the rules?
Well, you don't feed them after midnight.
Correct.
Don't get them wet.
Yeah.
Correct.
And
Don't let them watch a Kardashian show.
That's probably for the best.
That's a good rule for everybody. Let's just go with that. Unless they want to sponsor the show.
What was the third one? What did we miss? We
Don't
missed
speak
Sunlight.
harshly.
Sunlight. That's
Don't
right.
burst into freaking flames.
Which actually seems like a good thing to do, considering some of the problems.
For Gizmo though, that's
Not Gizmo.
yeah. E.T. Phoning home. That's on my list.
That's on your list?
E.T.?
E.T. is the most overrated movie
Oh my God!
of 1980s.
Tim Rice, I agree completely with you. When you said that, I said, what am I going to say to this? I remember every movie being amazing in the 80s. And Tim said to me, no, they're not. We can discuss this on the show. And I'm like, what the hell? And all of a sudden, I rummaged through my old VHSs. I come across E.T. and I remember, I'm like, you know what? This, to me, was not fantastic.
I'm in shock.
No, it is the most overrated movie.
What a
of the 1980s.
wonderful story about a boy and his friend, a new best friend.
It's a horrible story. It's a stupid story. Stupid
Why
movie.
is that stupid?
I don't know. I loved it. I saw it in the theater in 84.
Yeah.
Drew Barrymore was amazing in it. But other than that,
Drew Barrymore.
Other than that,
it doesn't stand the test of time. It just overrated.
okay.
Send your hate mail.
Stop.
to-
Leave him alone. Give me him.
Listen,
Give me Rambo.
Here, take them all.
I don't.
All right, we got
Doing puppet
Ray's
shows
gonna-
back there.
Ray's gonna- yeah, we got.
This is
Smurf.
an original Smurf. This is not the new knockoffs. This is the only one I have left.
All right.
I used to go up to
They
Fun
were-
and Fancy in Medway Shopping Plaza.
But you went where now?
Fun and Fancy. That was the name of the store.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fun
Were
and
you
Fancy.
wearing your knickers?
That was the name of the store, and they had Smurfs in a case. Not all of them in a case. They had the really cheap ones that nobody would want
Just this
outside the
guy,
case.
Grumpy.
And Grumpy was in the case, and I just remember being with my mother, and I'm like, I want Grumpy, and I think she said something like, "Of course you do." And so I had Grumpy. And I still have him. He's the
Now,
original.
we don't have to explain what the Smurfs are because, unfortunately, they made a crappy
comeback.
movie.
Yeah, they made a bad
Fortunately, I have
comeback.
not seen either one of them.
Yeah,
so.
they're not that great.
And it sucks because Hank Azaria is actually part of it, who I love.
Doogie Howse is in it, isn't he?
Yeah, you know what? A couple of people who I love are in these movies, and they're just horrible movies. Again, Smurfs, you might love them, but I don't.
I don't love him. But then again, I hate
Grumpy.
E.T., so, I mean, I'm horrible.
Okay, hey, Pac-Man! Now,
Pac-Man.
Pac-Man obviously was one of the best arcade games of our times, riddled in every single soda joint, but
and,
you know, pizza
and then in our
parlor,
homes.
and
then in
inside
our
everyone's
homes.
And when it came down to it, he got his own cartoon. Again, I could do a whole freaking segment on cartoons, but had a whole cartoon, which the biggest one ever was the Christmas Comes to Pac-Land, one of my favorite as a kid. No one's ever actually seen it. I believe they play it on Boomerang all the time.
Yep.
Yes, I got a speech impediment tonight. No big deal.
What was the premise of the original cartoon, not the Christmas one?
Where he had his hat and he had his suitcase. He went to work.
Yeah, he was just a regular guy.
He was a regular guy. He's walking out. That's what this figure's from.
There was actually, you know, there were ghosts around, and if you happen to get, they were like muggers. It was like hanging out in New York, and if you went down the wrong alley, a bunch
Rough
of ghosts
neighborhood.
would actually beat the crap out of you and try and eat you.
Okay.
If I could get any one thing from the 80s, I would want the tabletop Pac-Man game
Oh,
for my house.
absolutely.
If I could get any one thing from the 80s, it would have been the Star Wars video game, the light effects video game that was down in Milford Center at the movie house.
Oh, yeah.
If I could get one thing from the 80s, it'd be Phoebe Cates from Fast Times.
Wait a minute.
We can make her a guest.
Listen.
Bring. Oh, it's a Lego.
I believe
No,
I
it's
got
not,
that
though.
right
It's
there.
not a Lego.
I got that right there. So
Yeah!
I don't know if you can see this or not, but there's our 1980s.
Cut our
right there.
cleavage off, though, Jay.
I understand that.
I'm
but,
kind of happy you did
I
that,
was
honestly, because I
busy.
don't have to edit
I
that.
was busy just trying to actually get a bunch of pictures. I'm just like print. So what we got here?
That is Mario from.
He's not from the 80s.
Super Mario
Unfortunately,
Brothers.
he's fairly new.
Excuse me?
Well, no,
This
that
Mario.
figure. That
Oh
figure.
yeah, I'm
figure.
like,
He's
you
not
remember
vintage.
him? He used to climb up a bunch of girders to try and get the princess back then against just a monkey.
I used to play
That's
it on my
right.
ColecoVision.
Yep.
A lot of the
Used to play it on-
the kids that are younger than us would remember him as, or kids now too, just the Mario Kart and Super Mario Brothers. But he got his start
Climbing
trying to
ladders.
save a princess, climbing a ladder,
Jumping
jumping
over
over
barrels.
barrels.
It's me, Mario.
Donkey Kong was more of the star than he was.
That was another
And that's
horrible
where
movie
the whole
too.
term came from. It's on. Like
It's on
Donkey Kong.
The Super Mario Brothers with John Leguizamo and
Not a bad movie.
Oh,
didn't
but you know
like
what's
it.
a great movie? It wasn't made in the 80s, but it's about Donkey Kong.
what?
King of Kong.
Oh, that's a great movie.
Unbelievable
Well, we
movie.
can talk about that some other
Documentary
time.
about
Some other time,
Donkey
yeah.
Kong. That's right.
We only got so much time.
So there you go. This show and tell. That was fun.
Well, I got
Well, you got stuff to
Yeah,
show.
well,
I no, we were showing our figures. I
yeah,
guess.
no.
It's,
If I don't, we were bringing toys. I mean, you know, I only have a store full of them, but
I got most of these at your place, Jim.
I knew you were going to actually bring some, so I'm cool with that.
okay. So you still have stuff to show?
I've just got random stuff that, like, if we talk about, like, if you were a guy in the 80s, everyone had this poster on their wall.
Oh, Heather
of
Heather Thomas.
All right.
There was Heather Locklear and there was Heather Thomas back then.
Heather Thomas.
I liked Heather
was
Thomas.
What it was all about. She was actually on the Fall Guy, one of the best TV
Love The
shows
Fall Guy.
in the world.
I have
is
the
not
lunchbox. I
replayed.
forgot my lunchbox.
It's
I
still have the lunchbox?
I have an authentic Fall Guy lunchbox.
The Fall Guy was Lee Majors as an actual stuntman, hung out with Heather Thomas and
Howie.
what was his
Sorry,
name?
Douglas Barr.
Okay, well, I'm impressed. Douglas Barr, who played Howie, and you know what? I forget. Did they solve crimes?
Yeah, they did.
Yeah.
They were like,
Okay.
well, he was was he a bounty hunter? I believe he may have
Oh,
been a
bounty
He
bounty
was a bounty hunter on the
Yeah,
side. He
makes
was a stuntman who was a bounty hunter.
So this, as well as a 70s movie, just to toss in real quick, Hooper.
I love Hooper.
Are what made me want to
Sorry.
be a stuntman throughout the entire 80s, because in the 80s is when I actually watched the movie Hooper, and then I'd watch Fall Guy on a regular basis. So I'd always be riding my bike, jumping over things, crashing through walls, just doing
Sure.
all this crazy stuff. My mom was pissed all the time because she's, you're gonna break your arm. I said, I'm not going to. Lee Majors never does it. I'm not gonna break my arm.
Who remembers doing this? Who remembers taking that cassette player that you'd have
And record
with
the theme
play?
songs.
You record the theme song up to the TV. You'd have to hold the thing up to the TV, and then you'd go out on your bike with the thing strapped on you, and you'd do things to the theme song
yeah.
of Fall Guy.
What
or
theme songs? What other ones did you record?
Love Boat.
Love
I used to
Boat.
walk around outside and like
Greatest
direct
American
people
Hero.
around.
Greatest American Hero.
I'd hang out by the pool, and I'd go, Greatest American Hero.
I wish we hung
Love
out
that.
as kids, man.
I recorded that. Greatest American Hero, Fall Guy, A-Team.
Oh, you know what is one of my favorite theme songs from the 80s is maybe a very unknown show, but it may have been Simon and Simon.
That was a great show.
Great theme song. All guitar, kind of surf rocky maybe, I don't know. But
wasn't the guy from the WKRP in that show?
No, it was...
but WKRP had one of the best.
The guy from Major Dad.
Well.
Major Dad.
Major Dad
and who was
the blonde guy? Parker Stevenson.
Not Parker Stevenson.
Not Parker Stevenson.
Again, I just want to stress the fact that we don't have enough time to talk about every single thing I want to talk about.
We're 25 minutes into the show. We haven't started about movies yet.
Well, that's all right because we have.
That will be the cliffhanger for the second week.
We're gonna have to.
Yeah.
I was up in Dawn's mom's attic today. And she's like, "Oh, we're gonna go look for Goody treasure," and I'm like, "All right, sounds cool."
Just like the Goldbergs.
Exactly. And what do I come across but this gem right here? All right, let's take a look at this.
Oh my God! I had that.
This is a high stepper FM stereo for people on the move like you. All right, you got the
wow.
You got the FM stereo. Now it also shows all the great shoes down to the actual roller skates. Now, back in the 80s, I was an avid roller skater.
Who wasn't?
I don't know, but I think they were Nazis. What happened then was most people actually went to Skate Palace over in Milford. I went there one day, got into a fight, and was not allowed to go back there ever again. All right, because that's all it takes is one day you get into a fight at Skate Palace.
Are you allowed back in to have the Breens let you back in?
Well, eventually.
Oh, I don't know.
But
now they're going to hear about
it. But here's the deal. But I had to keep skating. It was in my blood. So what we actually did is we went to Westboro.
That's the premise of every 80s movie, by the way. I can't do it, but I'm gonna do it because I gotta do it.
And I did do it.
Footloose Karate Kid.
I went to Westboro's Roll On America.
Roll On America.
All right, where they taught me to roller skate, and I remember skating to Believe It or Not. Believe it or not,
a radio hit, by the way.
Exactly. I remember
it should have been.
Roller skating. And I remember, you'd always
in the 90s there.
You'd always do the goofy stuff where you'd get to the wall and you'd hit it and you'd flip over. Because again, I was a stunt man back in the 80s.
Sure.
So anytime that came on, I tried to recreate The Greatest American Hero. And what you would always do is crash. So every time that song came on, I crashed like a mother.
Because he lost the instruction book.
He did.
Could you imagine that? Aliens come down, they give you a gift, you leave, all of a sudden, where's the I friggin' lost the instruction book. That is like the worst day ever.
One of my favorite shows ever, but what do you need an instruction booklet for? I don't understand.
It had a million things you had to do, but it was like those new those new PlayStation controllers. If you don't hit the right thing, you're not going to do it right.
He would discover like halfway through the series he could be invisible.
And he was such a great teacher too.
Did you remember that they changed his name?
Yes.
Hanley. Hinckley to Hanley.
Yep.
Hinckley to Hanley because Hinckley was also famous in the 80s.
Yes, he was.
For a different reason.
For one season, or was it just for a couple episodes?
It may have been in the first season that they
I think in the first season, just for a couple episodes, they actually changed it because they didn't want anyone to relate him to.
The Greatest American Hero is named Hinckley, who happened to shoot at the president.
Connie Selica was very attractive.
Extremely.
She was.
But not as attractive as
Wonder Woman.
Bill Maxwell.
No. Bill Maxwell. Yeah. I love Bill Maxwell.
He was great.
He ate dog biscuits. I mean,
what's
come
the scenario, counselor? That's what he always say.
And he could say it the way he says it too. No, I was thinking of who's the girl from Silver Spoon? She was another.
That would be Erin Gray.
Erin Gray.
That's right.
Erin
from
Gray
Buck Rogers
was the king. Now, did Buck Rogers start in the 70s?
I may have.
I think so. Yeah.
If so, I want to say that it actually ended in the 80s with the second season, which wasn't so great. But
and then she went to Silver Spoon.
And then she went to Silver Spoons, where literally Jason Bateman just swooned over her year after year, and I cannot blame him. She was amazing. Not to mention the fact that if you've seen her even now, she's been doing like holistic yoga for the past 20 years, and she still looks fantastic.
I just saw a picture of her then and now. I don't know where that was, but she's stunning. Oh my God, we're running out of time.
We are running out of time. So, well, should we just say a quick goodbye to the audience right now and then just continue talking?
Let's just continue talking.
Not happy about any of this that's going on right now because I still have so much to say, but I think this is going to be the end of episode 1.
So will Jay still have more to say in the next episode?
Ooh, that's a good question.
That's a great question.
Danger Mouse?
Will we kick Jay out?
Cartoon.
We'll introduce you to these things, and that's all I'll show you with that.
Would that be a single?
Don't give it away!
Oh, it's not a single. I'm sorry. I would have brought my whole rack of them. See you later.